Yoki.
Well, it was a girl.
She died.
Well, she was like 17. Go ahead and name.
Oh.
It's also it was Yoki next.
Action.
To rescue, rescue.
Good evening and welcome to Tibet Center here at 151 West 30th Street, third floor. So we will begin this evening with reciting the prayer for the spreading of the teachings throughout the young Tibet. By the force of
To the blessings of the non-fallacious three precious gems, and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddha's teachings flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West, for all the people living there and together with their near ones, who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them. May all conditions adverse to their practices appear harmony to themselves, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase from the waxing moon. And especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which are the source of benefit and happiness. May they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions. May they spontaneously happen just as we have hoped and wished. The Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the Samadhi, which examines the arms of all profound illumination, and at the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the five skandhas and their natural entities. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, how should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge? And Avalokiteshvara answered, Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this, seeing the five skandhas and their natural entities. Form is empty, emptiness itself is form, and emptiness is not separate from form. Form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Thus, all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no object of the mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. There are no dharmas which return to old age and death, nor the ordinary health. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no end of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the Bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge. And since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. They transcend falsity and pass beyond God's sorrow. All Buddhas dwell with past, present, and future by means of transcendent knowledge, fully and clearly awakened to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequal mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering, there is no exception. In transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed, Transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One rose from the Samadhi and praised the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, Avalokiteshvara, saying, Good Buddha, son of noble family, profound transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you taught, and Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One has said these, Sharapuja and Avalokiteshvara, their whole family, world with gods, humans, asuras, and brahmanas, their hearts full of joy, raised the words with all excellence.
The wish
To free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then they have to remain to dispel the mysteries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the mysteries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the mysteries of the world.
So, we should do a rosary of of compassion, and as I said before, think of the meaning of Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Ma, our own ignorant body, speech, and mind, and the enlightened body, speech, and mind that we're working towards. Money, which is the method aspect of our practice, the cultivation of compassion, bodhicitta, padme, the wisdom aspect, the realization of emptiness, dependent arising. These two have to be joined in order to bring about enlightenment. The joining of these two is represented by Hum. So when you recite Om Mani Padme Hum, you can think about compassion, that wish to remove the suffering of others. And you can also think of the meaning of Om Mani. Okay, we'll do one. Om Mani Padme Hum.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
So we say Happy New Year before the New Year from, right?
No, it's later, maybe like a week before Chinese New Year, people still say Happy New Year.
The week before.
Yeah, people start saying that.
Maybe they go away for another. And you can say it for 2 weeks after.
I became a monk on New Year's Day, as you remember. She was there when I became the day.
Oh,
And my Tibetan friends said, so how long does New Year last in the West? And I said,
yeah.
they said, oh, we celebrate for 9 days. We have 3 days before New Year, and then 6 days after.
Tibet?
How do you, 3 days and 6 days?
What? For Tibet? 9
New
days?
Year, New Year.
Yeah,
In the
9
monastery.
days for Tibet.
No. Yeah, for Tibetans?
For Tibet?
In the monastery.
In the
Oh,
monastery.
I see.
The French, not, if you say Happy New Year beforehand, some look very upset.
I think this is.
I think it's ridiculous. It's not for New Year. How can you say?
From December 30th, if you say.
Midnight.
You
Oh,
have to say it right.
So if
at
we
midnight, that's why you have all the parties till midnight.
Time goes moment by moment by moment by moment. So there are all the moments for 2024. Right?
Yeah.
And then, so if you say Happy New Year before that moment,
Yeah, it's like the border between Canada and the USA while it lasts.
I'm not going.
We can make wishes for the future, can we not? Sorry.
What is the stereo?
For some reason this mic is working. Sorry guys. Just watch out there. Okay. Sorry.
Okay, so we reached page 105 for those of you who have the book. So we are discussing Beyond Religion, Ethics for a Whole World by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And we have been discussing the ethics of restraint. So just to recap from where we were, I'm going to just reread. Every user, His Holiness has suggested that though we may consider that we are not really engaging in unethical behavior, if we somehow contribute towards the pollution of our water system by consuming things that pollute water in order to be fabricated, we are in some way contributing, and we are in some way responsible. Every user of the technologies that pollute are thereby partly responsible for the pollution and thus contribute to the negatively to the lives of others. So unfortunately, it's perfectly possible to harm others indirectly through our actions without any intention of doing so. So His Holiness ends. So realistically, I think the most important thing we can all do to minimize the harm we inflict in our everyday lives is to apply discernment in our behavior. So what does discernment mean?
Refined judgment.
Very good. So what does refined judgment mean?
Careful evaluation.
So, in other words, to try to figure out first how to best behave
Right.
within
Measure-
a situation.
Yes, measure the impact of one decision or another, one direction or another, and then figure out carefully how to proceed.
And to follow that natural sense of conscientiousness which arises from the enhanced awareness that discernment brings us. So, how do we go about that? We have a situation, you know those aerosol sprays?
None of them, yes.
Sorry?
They're banned.
There?
Banned.
Some of them are banned. But how do we deal with if aerosol is simply one of those things that we use in our lives? How do we confront that?
It's in the past.
It's in the past.
Yes, these are things we did, previous actions.
I need a little spray compressed air to take the dust off the lens of my cameras.
Yes.
Hmm?
That's just compressed air.
Well, this is the cost of
Eat away
being
the
alive.
ozone.
Does the compressed air that you buy
Hmm.
with that little tubey thing, does that contain hydrocarbon, fluoride, the same toxic chemicals that hairspray or fixative used for artwork might contain?
Oh, so I thought it was the actual compression that,
No.
No.
So I have a can right at my desk at my day job.
please,
I'll
Bring it in.
I'm using discernment. I'm roping you into.
But in a similar thread, I left photography because everybody became a photographer, and I returned to drawing and painting, and then I moved into oil painting, which uses toxic pigments like cadmiums. And when I paint at the school that I paint at with my 93-year-old painting teacher, we're very careful about how we dispose of used paint or used solvent, but we're still using toxic materials.
But the hairspray was actually diminishing the ozone layer.
Yes.
Fluorocarbon.
Yeah.
I've stopped using hairspray. My contribution. No,
What about the people that we know that are fancier than we are, that have coiffed hair that requires maintenance?
Our president.
We have liquids now. Our president. Liquids, you spray it.
Yes, you know, they have it like, the same, you know, it's under, I think.
Or gels.
Didn't they have underarm deodorant that was sprayed?
I don't
also?
know.
I don't know.
Shaving cream has a spray, right? That's pressure or something.
I think part of the discernment is between like how much something is needed versus wanted, and then once the decision is made that something is needed, then discerning like kind of the way to use it that does the least amount of harm. I have a 3-year-old at home, which if you know this, and she has a habit of always saying, I need that thing, and it's thing, and she needs nothing. So I think it kind of maybe underscores or highlights the inherent immaturity in sort of unconsciously assuming that we need certain things. That are kind of operating on a toddler frequency when we fail to use discernment, right? She's not using discernment, nor should she. It's not her job yet. Hopefully she gets there.
Yes, so discernment is the implementation of a certain wisdom to figure out how to do the least harm and maybe the greatest benefit. So yes, actually the premise of this book is how to cultivate the two qualities that His Holiness introduces, one being compassion and the other being the discernment to apply that compassion, because compassion in and of itself doesn't have much impact on the situation. It impacts. However, having said that, I'd love your thoughts on something that we have discussed before, which is how much impact does mere compassion have on a situation? So without bringing in the discernment and the implementation, merely working on our own state within a situation. What do you think?
It depends on the level of the person, of the practitioner.
Really?
I believe so. Yes, because a great practitioner will absorb some of that negativity or toxicity as part of the compassion, whereas we all can't necessarily do that.
Interesting.
So would you say that there's less value in I know that I have very little impact on the outside world. I should forget about...
No, but is there, all right. Here we go. Okay, which has greater value? The compassion of His Holiness the Dalai Lama or the compassion of KHENSUR RINPOCHE? I would have to say His Holiness.
Sorry.
And we work towards attaining the qualities of His Holiness in order that our compassion may...
Yes, increases, exactly.
But good evening. I'm not asking in terms of a comparison. Does our mere compassion...
Yes. Because we're not being self-centered. We're including others and taking in the reality of others and wanting to do something. It's not just including.
And does that have an effect on our environment?
Of course.
How?
Well, if something needs doing, you see that it needs doing. If you're busy with yourself, you don't.
Well, that would involve actually implementing the compassion.
I've seen young lamas, etc. They don't even think about it. Something needs doing, and they just do it. They don't sit and think, "Oh, I should do this." They just do it because they're open-minded. Their minds are open. They're seeing, and something needs to be done, and they do it. So there's no.
You know, as an American going to live in a Tibetan refugee settlement, one of the things that was always interesting to me was that when I would see something, would leap in American style and try to fix it. The wisdom that I felt they were showing was to not get involved.
We probably didn't know how to fix it.
They might- but that's not my question. What I'm wondering about is the effect that the mere quality, without bringing in the discernment, without bringing in the implementation, the quality of working on ourselves, to what degree does that have an effect on
What, the power of our compassion?
on the outside world?
Well, if you walk by a scene and there's a fire taking place, when there are fire engines and people are injured, but you as an outsider will just make more trouble if you get involved. What can you do? You send up a prayer to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas or your deity of whatever you wish to please help right away immediately. Now, how does that impact on
On them.
on them? Well, you hope for the best. Yeah.
Hope the deity was listening.
They're listening. Just we don't know the answers.
I think, sorry.
Go ahead.
I think by cultivating through the self-cultivation, we are we're moving participating vessels of like inherent de-escalation through society. And so I think by automatically not bringing anger or reactivity to, throughout each day and each interaction, I think kind of indirectly or inadvertently, it's having a positive impact.
So, I think I've said this before, but it's something that I've been mulling. According to the laws of karma, for those of you who believe in karma, my state of being, the quality of my mind, the quality of my body, all of these things are the result of my own past actions of body, of speech, and of mind. So that I am experiencing the result of my own past work. Also included in what I am responsible for by my past actions is the exterior world that I experience. So karma, my past actions, are responsible for my experience of this situation. And every aspect of it. There's a little chill on this arm, perfectly pleasant. There's a little bit of warmth coming from these radiators over here. There's the quality of the light. There's the building that I'm sitting in. There's my experience of all of you. Every aspect of what I'm experiencing is the result of my past actions, body, speech, and mind. And each of you here sitting is experiencing you are experiencing something different from what I'm experiencing. We share this classroom. We've all come here for this period of time. However, we've come from totally different streams of moments of action, and we are all experiencing it in our own unique ways. If we accept that, then all aspects of what I'm experiencing come about due to my past actions. All aspects of what you're experiencing come about as a result of your past actions. All. our, let's say, social, financial, mental, physical health situations are all the result of our own individual past actions over many, many lifetimes. And so a moment of compassion, or our compassionate attitude, may not have an immediate impact on the situation, but it's definitely contributing to the to what I do and shall experience. It's not just contributing to it, it is producing it. How does that sound? That's what I've been mulling. Applying it to the political situation, applying it to the sort of economic situation, all of those things that I'm experiencing today.
Do actions of body and speech have their origin in thought?
Yes.
So then the answer maybe to your previous question is that it all starts with this pattern of thinking that we're developing. So if we make that effort to have compassionate thoughts, then that increases the chances we're going to have another compassionate thought, and then that affects our later actions of speech and body.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're saying, I believe, is that for each one of us, we're in the circumstance right now, but it came about through different causes and conditions.
You came down from the Upper West Side.
I did.
I came from New Jersey.
Yes.
You came from downtown?
Queens.
But I find this very inspiring, because no matter what this situation we find ourselves in, we can determine that we can bring about change.
I have a question regarding the karma. And in the sentence you read before, you mentioned that even without intention, you could harm, or something is in that book line. But without intention, action is complete. That doesn't create negative karma.
So, I don't know to what degree our ignorant actions that cause others to suffer, our intention is definitely an important element. So, if we give to a beggar without any kind of intention, any kind of, it's not that we are wishing that the person be helped. If it's a thoughtless gift, does it have virtue in it? Or putting it even further, this is a question, I don't know. If we give with some kind of, let's say out of pride, we give $1 to someone in the street, or out of frustration. If you've lived in India, you get attacked by people. You finally just give. Is there a virtue in the act of generosity of giving, even if it's
Act is giving, but the intention is not out of compassion.
Yes, there is.
Oh, it's a question.
And
But
it's,
what about the opposite?
we,
Can you have compassion thought without action?
well, the thought is a
But-
mental action.
Yeah, but does that translate as compassion? It doesn't, if there's no action to it.
So if the person comes up to us and we have $20 in our pocket and we don't want to give $20 to the person, but we want to give.
Yeah, well, that's the old joke.
The next person.
I wanted to give him $20. I did, but I thought about it.
And you know, the interesting thing about that situation is that it's not as if there's necessarily a right way of doing it, but it gives us the opportunity to think. To make change. Which I suppose would be the discernment, would be to have some change, have some.
The really big challenge is when you give like $1 or $2 and the person's really unhappy because it's so little, to still have compassion. That's I wasn't able to pull that one off. I got kind of mad.
But all of these things help us if we, think about them.
These people are on drugs, and yeah, I mean, we can't know our neighbor in this case.
They smoke.
Naturally, people, you give money, you give people money, and they say, "What do you know what it costs to live in?" I mean, I think I'm very careful before when a homeless person approaches me, because you don't know what you're getting there. So, yeah, many of them are very predictable.
So, we shall continue with harm caused by non-violent means. While harm inflicted by outward actions can normally be seen, the suffering we inflict on others with words can be more hidden, but is often no less damaging. This is particularly the case in our closest, most intimate relationships. We humans are quite sensitive, and it is easy to inflict suffering on those around us through our careless use of harsh words. Now, you know this expression, sticks and stones can hurt my bones, but words can never hurt me. It's ridiculous. I mean,
it's not true.
Where did it come from?
Well, it's true. It's just that we let ourselves be hurt. Because sometimes you can be hurt even by a kind word that isn't kind enough.
Or the force of anger. The force of someone's anger can be very killing.
Yeah, but it's up to you to, because you can't stop it.
We can also inflict harm with dishonesty, slander, and divisive gossip. No doubt we have all, at some time or another, felt the negative consequences of such idle talk. It undermines trust and affection and can create all kinds of unfortunate misunderstandings and enmities between people. Here, as in other areas, we need to observe the golden rule found in all of the world's ethical systems. Treat others as you would wish to be treated yourself, or do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I think that this, it's something that is evident to all of us, but it's really something to think about. And again, as we talk about setting our motivations for the day, really determine that we will work towards developing that muscle, that ability to refrain from saying the word that we all tend in that direction. And we really have to develop that muscle. And it's not a muscle that we're going to develop on the spot. It's something that we have to really think about and make the decision to refrain from. Yes?
Profanity? Refrain from.
Refrain from engaging in the kind of speech that will hurt someone. When it comes to avoiding harmful actions of body and speech, in addition to this fundamental rule, I personally find a list of 6 principles from a text by the 2nd century Indian thinker Nagarjuna to be helpful. In this text, Nagarjuna is offering advice to an Indian monarch of the time. The 6 principles are as follows: avoid excessive use of intoxicants. Uphold the principle of right livelihood. Ensure that one's body, speech, and mind are non-violent. Treat others with respect. Honor those worthy of esteem, such as parents, teachers, and those who are kind. And be kind to others. Well, I think if we bring it down to just that last one, be kind to others. If we really make our mantra for the day, be kind to others.
Sort of like that. Like a
In spelling out what constitutes right livelihood, Nagarjuna lists the following examples of a wrong approach to livelihood: trying to gain material benefits from others through pretense, using attractive words to gain things from others through deceit, praising another's possessions with the intention of trying to obtain them for oneself, forcibly taking what belongs to someone else, and extolling the qualities of what one has obtained in the past with the hope of receiving more. Now, sorry?
Nothing has changed.
Not only has nothing changed, but in thinking about these things, in my position of trying to find the funds to run the Tibet Center, I really find I have to be very careful not to engage in any of these things. It doesn't help the financial situation of the Tibet Center. However, it's really important. These are wonderful standards to work towards upholding. And I think that we gain more, or here, I ask you, do you think that we gain more by working towards those standards than we do by trying through these methods to...
We don't gain anything by that.
Oh, you might.
Don't need.
Sorry?
Well, extolling the qualities.
Lots of bad karma, that was it.
I mean, that, yeah, I can see that.
And bad habits.
Very tempting. Extolling the qualities of what one has obtained in the past, which is, you're telling the truth, but then with the hope of this happening.
It's the intention.
Yeah, I think those lines are extremely valuable to hold up for ourselves as being worth cultivating. And what's wonderful about them is that, though I think we've all engaged in these techniques for acquiring, to see their faults spelt out, to recognize them as faults, really helps maintain a virtuous, pure attitude towards our situation and our behavior. That's beautiful what you're crocheting. It's very beautiful. It's really very beautiful.
And it matches his robe. She's making it for you.
He's extolling.
Yeah, there we go.
No,
Praise and
it's-
blame, two sides of the same noise. No?
It's very beautiful. Okay.
What am I supposed to do?
You're so talented. And you praise and praise it. Praise them up, you know.
Most of these pertain in one form or another to being dishonest. Dishonesty destroys the foundation of others' trust and is profoundly harmful. Transparency in our dealings with others is therefore tremendously important. Many of the scandals we hear about today, notably the corruption which is observable at so many levels and in so many fields, government, the judiciary, international finance, politics, media, even international sports, are related to this issue of right livelihood.
So what would you say to, we had had this discussion several weeks ago about the killing of animals. How does that become right livelihood, to kill something?
It's not. It's not right livelihood. And you know, in many ancient cultures where you inherited the job, the task of your father, if you were born into a butcher family, you were expected to be a butcher. And in Tibet, the butchers who might be Buddhists and who recognize the non-virtue of engaging in butchering would take a vow to only butcher in the daytime and to refrain from butchering at night. And though that was not, they were still engaging in non-virtue by killing, they were accruing some kind of virtue by making this vow to not kill at night. And you know, whatever sort of virtuous thoughts might accompany that. And they would also pray that in the future they may not be a butcher, and that you know, once a week they would not butcher. Maybe they could increase it to 2 times a week, so that working in as skillful a way as possible towards building up the merit of one's restraint from butchering is the way by which they were shaping their future.
Very realistic. Also in Tibet, they were nomadic, so they weren't able to have lots of vegetables and things. But the thing that always bothers me about it is then there is us who call for, we make the demand. And is that?
There's definitely an element of non-virtue in it, yes.
How do you feel when like roaches, if you have a roach, that you know that you can kill them, right? That's a killing.
Roaches.
Roaches or bats, you know. Yeah, how do you that?
Do you remember the very, very weak, what's it called, vacuum cleaner that Rinpoche had? It was very, very weak, sorry?
Dustbuster?
No, it was a very weak, so that he could aspirate the
Call them up, but they wouldn't die.
Yeah.
No, they go right out. No, they survive.
Yeah, because of
They
this
survive,
particular
yeah.
one. then we would gather them up, put them in a bag, and then send them to.
Another part of town.
Remember Rod somebody was holding the bag
Outside
out the
it,
window
yes.
of his car. He was walking to his car and drove down to,
So,
the desolate.
try not to
town.
kill.
Yeah.
It's difficult. And the effort that you make towards that. And then we got a new vacuum cleaner that was so strong that it killed them. I called the company to speak to them to ask how we could diminish the force. And they said, we worked so hard to make this. Why do you want to turn it down? I said, I don't want to kill the cockroaches. And I could hear the guy talk to his fellow. This was the days when you could call people.
You can feed them outside. Some bugs.
But it's a wish to work towards it. And, we're living in a society where there are dangers to certain rodents, and there are all sorts of things we have to think about.
And
Interior.
I have cockroaches at home, roaches at home too. And then Mr. Tong had told us that use a plastic container and then put butter on top, inside. So then we can catch the roaches, put it inside, they won't come out. But the problem is, put them in there, and I don't know where to put them after in the container,
Also, the cholesterol will go up too.
So these are, moral, and the thing is that at our level, we have to make certain choices of, there are certain things that we have to do in order to survive. Certain things that we have to do, eating. All the eating that we do somehow kills, even if we just have rice, the amount of insects that are killed in the production of rice. But we have to eat. And if we can set our motivation, if we determine that we are going to devote our day, our future, to working towards becoming better and eventually more able to help others, then when we eat, anything that we do is a contribution towards that aim.
Dear cow, may I feed you?
So the question you asked me before, that if you give out of frustration, so if I take a vow to give every day, even my mind is afflicted, the action is virtuous.
So the vow is, if it's a vow to give. Yes,
every
yeah,
day.
yeah. So I believe that the mere act of giving, that there is some virtue in the giving, even if it's tainted by those other things are negative. But there is a quality in the So, we haven't gotten terribly far. Darren is cold. So,
Aaron, did you get Rebecca's thing about the mic?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think we might as well end this here. Today is the 3rd. But all of these things, we sit here and talk. These conversations, these thoughts, if we have them with ourselves as we go through life, they really help us. And I've often said that if we can do a little bit of this kind of thinking in the morning to help us determine to work without deceit, work with a thought for others, determined to apply virtue, that's really helpful. And if at the end of the day we can go over what we've done in the day and see how we've done, and recognize when our speech hurts someone. We didn't intend to, we didn't want to hurt the person, but we were sloppy. We just let ourselves talk in a way that might have hurt the person, and therefore probably did, and develop regret for having done that. All of that helps us the next time. It
That's
really...
very true.
So, on that note, we shall read the Sutra of the Recollection of the Noble Three Jewels. Is there someone?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ellie Wiesel. No, someone Wiesel.
Marianne Weissel.
Marianne Wiesel.
And Marianne Faithful.
Marianne Faithful, Marianne Weisel,
Marion and Marianne.
Marian and Marianne,
And all the people in the two plane crashes.
and the
Yeah.
people in the plane crashes. So, I prostrate to the Omniscient One. Thus the Bhagavad Tathagata Arhat Samyak Sambuddha, the learned and virtuous one, the Sugata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of the beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans is the Buddha Bhagavad. The Tathagata is in accord with all merit. He does not waste the roots to virtue. He is completely ornamented with all patience. He is the basis of treasures of merit. He is adorned with the minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those who long with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strength cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of Nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He is not stained by the realm of desire. He is not stained by the realm of form. He is not affected by the formless realm. He is completely liberated from suffering. He is completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He is completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving. He is crossed over the river. He is perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha, who arise in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the buoy where he sees all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavad. The holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted. It is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavad teaches the Dharma way. It brings complete vision. It is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma which is taught by the Bhagavad is revealed properly in the land. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pithy, it is trustworthy, and puts an end to the journey. As for the Sangha, the great Yana, they utter completely, they utter insightfully, they utter straightforwardly, they utter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration with joined palms. They are worthy of receiving prostration. They are filled with glorious merit. They are completely capable of receiving all gifts. They are an object of generosity. They are a great object of complete generosity. The protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and virtue. I prostrate to the Tathagata. Pure, the cause of freedom from passion. Virtuous, liberated from the lower realms. Thus, this alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma. Having been liberated, they show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to bliss and they are wholly filled with merit and possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha's leader. I prostrate to the Dharma protector. I prostrate to the Son of the community. I prostrate respectfully always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivable, therefore, the traditions are inconceivable. May they be born on a completely pure world. I will read the 8 verses for cleansing the mind. With the determination to accomplish the highest welfare of all sentient beings who surpass even a wish-granting, I will learn to hold him supremely near. When I associate with others, for the lowest among them, and respectfully hold others to be supreme from the very depths of my heart. In all actions I will learn to search into my mind, and as soon as a disturbing emotion arises, endangering myself and others, I will firmly face and avert it. I will learn to cherish ill-natured beings and those oppressed by strong misdeeds and sufferings, as if I had found a precious treasure difficult to find. When others out of jealousy treat me badly, with abuse, slander, and so on, I will learn to take all loss and offer the victory to them. When the one whom I have benefited with great hope unreasonably hurts me very badly, I will learn to view that person as an excellent spiritual guide. In short, I will learn to offer to everyone without exception all help and happiness directly and indirectly, and respectfully take upon myself all harm and suffering from others. I learn to keep all these practices undefiled by the stains of the 8 worldly concerns, and by understanding all phenomena like illusions, be released from the bondage of nature. A prayer for a swift return of Trungpa Rinpoche. Exalted wisdom of all victories, gathered in a drop, sole refuge, manifest in the form of a one wearing sacred robes. Guru Lobsang Tuwang Dojichan, please bear witness here today that our prayers may be fulfilled. We beseech the great torch of doctrine, accomplishing from long ago the vast waves of aspirational prayers, Lord of speech of the victor Lobsang's teachings, spreading them to the ends of the earth by means of explanation and practice. Beholding the commitment, I will invite all beings to be my guests in unsurpassable great awakening. Yet you have withdrawn the negativities of the form body which serves. Is that the worthy of the supreme among beings, the Bodhisattvas? Though impossible for you to sickly existence and to abandon your commitment to liberate all beings, we beseech the new son of Nirmanakaya to swiftly return from the realm of Dharmakaya, brought forth by bodhicitta, drawn by 7 steeds. Having reached the far limits of scholarship, religious life, and goodness, please come swiftly as an unrivaled supreme emanation, full holder of the sage's teachings, and wish-fulfilling jewel, return as the glory of those unattended. Magnificent truth of the three precious jewels, Mahakala, and the supreme portion of Dharma protectors may be spontaneously fulfill our wish, the swift blossoming of the reincarnation's So, next Wednesday, 2 days from today, we have class in in New Jersey at 502 North Ridgewood Road, South Orange, New Jersey, 7 o'clock. And this Saturday we have a white Tara puja and a green Tara prayer.